Hello there and welcome to my look at Combat Patrol, review of Combat Patrol. I'm not entirely sure what this is going to be so far. It's going to be kind of a run through of the Combat Patrol magazine that has just come out. Have subscribed, so we'll be doing every issue. As you can see, we're going to start with issue 1, which comes with two lovely models, the Space Marine Captain and the Tyrannid Prime. Two models, if like me you picked up Leviathan, you already own, but they are still really nice models. So along with both of those, which conveniently come on one joined together sprue, you also obviously get the bases. You also get six-sided dice, a poster as well that also has sort of gumph to encourage you to subscribe to the full issues and the sets, and a little bit of a sneak peek of what is ahead of you. It also contains the premium stuff, which I did subscribe to. Lastly, you get a foldable battle mat as well, so you can start playing straight away. Issue 2 comes with Von Ryan's Leapers, which are three really lovely models. Again, these guys came from the Leviathan box. However, unlike the first issue, all you really get is the actual models and their bases. If you subscribed, you will also have received a pair of clippers and a nice little mold line remover as well. So as soon as we open up issue 1, we are immediately greeted with some instructions to start putting our models together. That also gives you some helpful tips and tricks to take in. So make sure, if you do buy this, make sure you read everything just so you start to familiarize yourself with putting models together. So the first thing I'm going to do is stick together the Space Marine Captain. If you found this video and you're new to model making, make sure you follow the guides and definitely make sure you read all of the instructions, and then you'll have no problem with putting these guys together. These first few models are also push-fit models, so you won't need any glue. As we go through, though, the later issues, you will require some glue, but we'll get to that when we start receiving those models. A quick helpful tip when you're clipping these models, make sure you try and get your clippers as flush as you can to the surface of the miniature, because that'll help with the cleanup a little bit later. Once you've clipped, you're then going to want to remove the mold lines and the sort of clipping parts as well. If you've got the mold line remover, use that. It's the first time for me I've actually used it, and I've got to say it works very, very well. As I mentioned earlier, these guys are push fit, so you won't need any glue whatsoever, and they clip in absolutely beautifully. You won't have any problems with this. If you are going to use glue, I would recommend not actually gluing the Space Marine to his base, because you're going to want to be able to pop him off later so you can paint the back of his cape. A really lovely miniature, but that's him down, so let's move on to the Tyrannid Prime. Once again, make sure you give the instructions a quick once-over before you stick the model together, just so you know what you're doing. But as these guys are push-fit, if you do make a mistake, it's very easy to rectify. Once again, make sure you put your clippers as close as you can to the model before clipping. That way you don't have as much cleanup later on. However, with Tyrannids, make sure you're paying attention to what you're doing. You don't want to accidentally clip off any gribbly bits. Once again, using the mold line remover, it's very quick, very easy to sort these guys out, and you get a nice smooth surface when you're finished. You'll need that later when you start painting. I do like the idea of the first few issues being push fit. That's really going to help any beginners that are sort of brand new to this hobby, because after all, that's what this sort of set is mainly aimed at. And with the push fit models, they don't have to worry about making any mistakes when gluing. And there he is, that's the second model done, the wonderful Tyrannid Prime. With the models being stuck together, the next section is a little bit of information and background stuff for Warhammer 40,000 itself. This one obviously focusing on the Space Marines and a little bit on the Tyrannids. From there, we've got a fun little section where you can actually name your Terminator Captain. Really didn't expect that, but I think that's quite good for the kids. It's also a checklist of, like, once you've put them together, painted them, and played with them. On the back of that is a data sheet that will come in handy once players have learned how to actually play the game more fully than rather what is just in the first few issues. Following the Space Marine one, we then get a similar thing for the Tyrannid Prime, and I do have to say I really do like the way it's sort of encouraging you to name your stuff with a nice little simple dice roll. This one also has the data sheet on the back as well. The next section is on how to play the game. Now, it doesn't actually cover sort of the full rules. In fact, it's a very, very, very basic sort of game where you are just rolling some dice to essentially get used to the idea of rolling dice. Wargaming veterans obviously know that there's a lot of dice rolling to be had, and this magazine is definitely not shy of explaining to you that you will be rolling quite a lot of dice when you play games of 40k. The first mission is a simple sort of example of how to roll dice and what those dice will mean when you're actually playing the game, with players rolling to hit, rolling to wound, and then the opposing player rolling to save. Naturally, the Space Marine Captain wins this one as he's a little bit tougher than the Tyranid Prime. The penultimate page is just an advert for what exactly you'll be getting during the collection, along with all the paints on display and some paintbrushes. And the final back cover is the next issue and the issue after that. So issue 2 with the Von Ryan Leapers, as soon as we open it up, once again, we are encouraged to build the models straight away. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. Obviously, once again, it's best to read the instructions and make sure you follow what you're going on. And because you're doing 3 models, definitely make sure that you're getting the right number before you actually start clipping those pieces off, so you can follow what you're doing correctly. So once again, using the flat of my clippers, I clipped away all the pieces that I needed. Use the mold line remover to clean everything up, and simply push them together. Completely ignore my finger that's about to come into shot, but once you're done, that's your very first unit put together. After that are a couple of pages on explaining sort of how to paint the miniatures and the very basics, because we will be getting some paints shortly. And the magazine goes on to explain exactly sort of what sort of things will be covered. Following that, we've got more background stuff. I like this sort of stuff. I found it quite sort of interesting, and it's very good to get to know sort of what you're actually dealing with in the game, and sort of explains everything you need to know about the background. This one focusing obviously on the Tyranids, as that's what we're focusing on with this issue. And once again, we've got a nice little naming section, so you can name your unit, and little check marks as well, so you can cross off once you've built them, put them together and played with them, with the datasheet being on the back again. This one also goes into a little bit more detail about naming Tyranid units, which I like. It's got a nice little sort of 2 tables, so you can name your entire sort of force once it's all put together. From there, we move on to the second mission. Now, this is pretty much the same as the first mission. However, this time we're explaining to the player that sort of what to do when you're rolling for more than one person in a unit, and it has some excellent examples, but it's still, at the end of the day, just getting you used to rolling those dice. This sort of thing is ideal for getting this information across to younger kids and brand new players. Once again, it's just rolling to attack, rolling to wound, and then rolling to save if there are any. A very nice and quick, easy way to basically knock out 5 minutes. Naturally, once again, the Space Marine Captain won because he is a hero and he is in that really tough Terminator armor. Once again, the back page is basically just an advert, and then we'll be shown what's in the next couple of issues. Issue 3, I'm looking forward to. Issue 4, not as much because it's just some paints, but it will be nice to actually start to get some paints on these miniatures. And there we are, that's the first 2 issues of Combat Patrol. For the next ones, obviously I'll do another video. I'll probably do 2 issues per video, I think. Even though it'll be a monthly delivery. So with the first 2 issues, we've got a few lovely models, a couple of easy to do games for beginners, and lots of exciting previews of what's coming up. If you watched this video and you enjoyed it, please think about giving the channel a subscribe. Check out some other videos while you're here, and I will see you on the next one. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And, well, nothing to say now, but goodbye. Goodbye for now.